Hey guys, how you going? Cambell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a splendid day. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated. And in this world, we need to be self-educated because, as we know, his story is not our story. History is a set of lies agreed upon. And of course, that's why we need to be self-educated, because if we are not, the only choice we have left is to believe what other people tell us. And of course, as usual, that's kind of what I want to get into. And this is, I don't know how long this video will be. I was just watching an interview about giants, and I was just thinking, because we've got this, this question of giants always comes up, right? We have the giant architecture, we have all this stuff. But it still seems to be a question, did the giants exist? And that's kind of why I want to make this, because the giants definitely did exist, because we have their bones. We have the remains of them. We have stories, we have news reports, sort of legends and myths and things. And so they definitely were real. And what happened to them, we're not sure. And that's one of the things that we're digging into. So, remember, do not respect anyone's authority, especially Cartman's, with his little star there. And there's another star. Alright, so let's get in and have a chat about giants. Alright, so the plan for this video is really just to click on my file. As you'll see, I have a couple. This is my tartaria file, and I've got giants here, so I thought we'd click on that and see what pops up. I haven't had a look at this for a little while. I do have some videos on Autodidactic main channel about giants that I did, probably over a year ago. So it's probably time to have a bit of a look, retouch on giants. And here we have a picture with a couple of giants. And giant down here, giant farina. Is that French? Not sure, but they're having some kind of a party here. We have a couple of giants. Of course, we have all over the place, in a city near you, giant structures that, are giant to the point that they just don't make sense. And they don't even make sense from the point of where did they get all the materials. They really are an anomaly, and we have a lot of them left, but the biggest ones, the really big ones, have pretty much all been torn down. And of course, we have photos of giants. Now, you show these pictures, and many people say, "Oh, this is just a really short guy, and this is just a above average woman." Yeah, I don't know. Don't think so. This dude looks like he's, not tall, but I'd say he's, 5'6", 5'8", which would make her, 6'6" or something. She's not a small woman. And of course, we have the genes, don't we? We have giants that pop up all the time. Andre the Giant and all these other giants around. Here is Brunhilde. Dutch. And look at the hat she's got on, but clearly this lady's standing on a chair and she's still, about shoulder height. So if that's an average woman, say 5'5"-ish, then you can add a foot there and a foot there. So, she's a big girl. 7 foot, I would think. And look at that headdress. What is it, a peacock or something? Or a butterfly or a bird? Not really peacock feathers, but some kind of bird on her head. There's just some amazing architecture. Look at that. See how it's all been stepped in? Now imagine what the acoustics in there would be. And of course down here we have our cymatic resonance patterns, and look how detailed they are too. Look how intricate they get on the outside here, even coming out, which is what you would expect from music being played in a place like this. That's just insane. Another giant. So these giants, were everywhere. And of course, you'll notice these photos, right? They're all back from the 1850s to sort of 1900s. So it seemed to be a thing, not an uncommon thing. It might not have been common, but it doesn't look like it was uncommon. I don't know. This lady does look a little short if you're looking at the chair and the desk there, but she's still a big lady. And of course, there's different giants that we talk about, and here we go. This, of course, look at the size of this door. So you can imagine the giants that we've just looked at, they'd probably be up here somewhere. So still this door would be giant to them. Of course, ridiculously oversized for the average human. So yeah, different sizes. How many, this is the thing, like, how old are these giant buildings, and were these built by bigger people? Because I think when we talk of giants, we're talking of more than one kind of giant, one type of giant, should I say, because we seem to have different heights. Here we go, some more cymatics. And of course, all this giant architecture are just, built so well, designed so well. They were obviously master craftsmen, master engineers. They knew what they were doing. But the story we get whenever you hear anything about giants is they were just, big, stupid, blundering oafs kind of thing. Like Jack and the Beanstalk and all that. I suppose we do get the big friendly giant, but that's about it. Apart from that, they're all, portrayed as bad. Which is, probably tells you something, right? Now this is obviously a drawing back in the day. But you can see, these are the giant buildings. These are people. You can see leaning up against this pillar. So, how tall is that roof? Seriously. It's, so this is, is this from an older time, than the architecture we see now that's giant? And of course we get big cars. When you look back at the early cars, a lot of them were really big. And I've always wondered why. And, maybe they were for big people. And then, smaller people got in them, extended the pedals, and then they're lighter and they've got a big fast car. What do you think? There was also a lot of little cars as well back in the day. Again, she's reaching up to the handles. Old world street light popping out there, of course. So yeah, trying to get in. And this, this would be, an average door for, those giants we saw in the photos. That would be normal. So this is the sort of the first, the small giant kind of architecture. And then we have the ridiculously oversized architecture. Oh my God. And look at, this is the thing. Look at this. Is that not ridiculous? People don't even think of designing things like this because there's no use for them, right? Why would you? It looks nice, yeah, but you can make things look nice, very nice, without going to all this construction. This is all part of the structure. So whoever built this, they were on a different level to us. Of course, we have statues. Now, this is a child, obviously, but, look at the size of that child. That's a very small child. So, I believe that is Alexander, is it? some Roman anyway with that haircut. And of course, you know, we have the stories of people like Alexander the Great being a giant, Genghis Khan, you know, sort of 7-footers, you know, 7, 8 footers. As you can see, this guy is holding some giant cutlery. I'm not sure, you know, this may have been made, but, you know, interesting pic. Again, what's that say? Sergio Diagardi, holding up the earth, as you can see around here. You know, they're ball earth. This is the horoscopes, and this is, you know, Atlas, the original story of Atlas. You know, we're told that he holds the world on his shoulders, but in the actual original story and the original statues that are still out there, he's actually holding the astrological line, the whatever you call that, the band of astrology, let's call it that. Where are we? Down here are people. So again, you know, ridiculously oversized structures, all old world. You know, we know what they look like. Covered in statues, columns, the whole lot. And these arches, don't we get these just a lot? You know, they're everywhere. You know, obviously we get the arches, you know, that aren't part of buildings, or were they all parts of buildings? You know, like the Arc de Triomphe and stuff. You know, maybe we've just got it from here up. Who knows? But you do see that, you know, obviously the arches everywhere, but also you see it a lot in buildings. You know, the old, you know, if you can find the old world buildings that were built like that. But it looks like many of them were. And again, what were they for? Was it tech? Was it energy? Was it to park an airship in and reload passengers? Who knows? Don't know why all these pictures are in giants, but is that brick? That's brick. Wow, that is ridiculous. And look at this at the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pointed star. You can see it's got another 8 pointed star coming off it. That is cool. And this is the thing. Everything was, you know, geometry and fractals and, you know, sort of cymatic patterns and all this kind of stuff. All to do with frequency. This is a buried building. Look at that. So this is just the top, and the whole building's been buried, and that's like the steeple thing. And we get these, you know, I've showed pictures of like old, you know, castle towers and turrets that are just literally the tower by themselves. But what's underneath? Again, more giants, and this is an Indian. Well, a Native American, you know, the whole Indian thing. There may actually be more to that name, by the way, you know, apart from, you know, the fake Christopher Columbus hitting the West Indies. Because, of course, at that time they had world maps, and we know they did, so it's a silly story anyway. But I digress. Indian. So, again, this does look like a smallish woman. But even if she's, you know, even if she's 5 foot, this lady's, you know, 6, you know, that's what, 6 foot there, so she's 6.5 foot or something. And look at the hands on it, wow. Patagonia in South America, of course, the Patagonian Giants. It's in the diaries of Cortez. I believe it was Cortez, yeah. His diary are the Patagonian Giants, and also up. I think John Levi showed a map, but there's definitely maps that show North America and the sort of I don't know what, you know, sort of Midwest sort of region, and it's zoned giants. And also I think the island in California, and there was an island called Giants, and you know. We've got stories, you know, all the natives talk of stories of giants. They've found bones everywhere in the that, like, literally, America's covered in them. Covered in them. They had a dig on this interview I was listening to. I'll leave the link below, actually. It's pretty interesting. And he said that just in one mound they found 7,000 giant skeletons. And again, this is the kind of stuff that they were building. And we're told this is just all, religious, right, for the glory of God. But I mean, really, I think we're a bit past that kind of a fairy tale. So this is, someone who's dug out or who's found a sarcophagus. So how big is the person in this sarcophagus? I mean, he looks like, average dude. He's probably 5'6", 5'8", which would make this, 10 foot? So how big's the person in there? Is that an 8 or 9 foot person? More amazing architecture. Look at these. These look like lyres. Mandolins or something. Okay, so here we go. Chimung's, is that right? Chimung's predecessors, huge giants, were 7 feet tall and had horns. This is Wednesday, July 12th, 1916. One of the most remarkable scientific discoveries in history made here. 68 skeletons of men living 700 years ago, unearthed between Saya and Waverley. Men were old at 40. I'm not sure what that means, but this is an actual news article, a newspaper article reporting that they found 68 skeletons. And when you look into these stories, they're not that old. They're 600, 500 years old, not thousands of years. So here it basically just gets into age and sort of saying, that they think that they didn't live very long. They kind of skip over the giant part. Giant women in Egypt. So again, you see a normal sized woman here, and then we see giants. Normal sized man, giants. I mean, this dude's got a big snoz. Looks like someone's painted that onto him. They painted a bird mask on him. He looks like Condor Man. Okay, here we go. Wisconsin mound open. Skeleton found of a man over 9 feet tall with an enormous skull. Now, does that mean a cone head? Maple Creek, Wisconsin, December 19. One of the 3 recently discovered mounds in this town has been opened. In it was found the skeleton of a man of gigantic size. The bones measured from head to foot over 9 feet tall. So there you go. This was the New York Times, 1897. So they were printing these stories back then, and now they all got wiped. And of course, we know about the Smithsonian, right? I mean, that was literally invented to hide history. Monday, July 13, 1908, not 38. Giant skeletons found on coast. Los Angeles, California, July 12th. William Derbyshire and Jack Stoneberger. That's a nice name. Good name for an archaeologist. Of Chicago, and Robert Derbyshire of Santa Monica. Contractors have unearthed the skeletons of a gigantic prehistoric man at Santa Monica Beach. The skeleton was over 9 feet in height. The New York Times, Christmas Day 1868. Reported discovery of a huge skeleton from the Sank Rapids Sentinel, December 19, day before yesterday, while the quarrymen employed by the Sank Rapids Water Power Company were engaged in quarrying rock from the dam, which is being erected across the Mississippi. At this place, found embedded in the solid granite rock, the remains of a human being of gigantic status, about 7 feet below the surface of the ground and about 3.5 feet beneath the upper cerium of rock. Gets a bit hard, but basically what they say down here, the grave was 12 feet in length, 4 feet wide, and about 3 feet in depth, and it was carved in to the granite, and basically there was a giant skeleton in there. So it's a bit hard to read, but yeah, I've read that one before. So there you go. That was a skeleton that was in, what did they say? Grand Rapids? Saint Rapids? No. Mississippi. And that one, yeah, embedded in a coffin that was dug out of solid granite. Wow, okay. Some big ornate doors. And of course, I've mentioned this before. This wrought ironwork is everywhere. And this, this like fern frond Fibonacci type shape design, it is everywhere. It's even on the Vatican use it on their clothing still, but you see it everywhere in wrought iron, carved into wood, into buildings, clothing, just everywhere. And here's this dude, and look at these faces. But yeah, what's that? That looks like it's to get into, is that a cemetery? But again, these are the, that's almost like a mid-size, isn't it? Because, the sort of 7-footers are here. The giant ones seem to be, I don't know, am I looking at that wrong? It's pretty big anyway. So who built this and for what purpose? Because clearly, these look like, there's no machinery. They just open on hinges. So they seem to be made for people that can easily open them. Okay, well, there you go. This is the kind of stuff they were into building. And again, just, fractal geometry. So what does it all mean? And again, you see here the that design. That fern frond kind of design. It's just everywhere. Here we go, yeah, giants from Sumeria, right? Sumerian Giant, normal sized people. And what do we have here? Someone holding, they say that's the sun disk, don't they? It's also, what's it called? The symbol of Ishtar. It looks like it's got a lot to do with the sky to me. Cardiff, here you go, Mr. Leadkay, giants from your area. Maybe related to Cardiff Giant. Okay, so there's the Cardiff Giant. Because of course, the UK, England was called Albion back in the day, and apparently it was inhabited by giants. This one says Winnemucca, January 23rd, 1904, from the St. Paul Globe. Workmen engaged in digging gravel here today uncovered at a depth of about 12 feet a lot of bones, part of the skeleton of a gigantic human being. Dr. Samuels examined them and pronounced them to be the bones of a man who must have been nearly 11 feet in height. There you go, here's a big one. In Winnemucca. I'm not sure where Winnemucca is. No doubt someone will let us know in the comments. Bones of a giant found St. Paul, May 23rd. A strut of heroic, what? Also, and Shetland Formation has been discovered among the relics of the Mound Builders. Oh, here we go, the Mound Builders. And there's mounds all through the Americas. To the Todd River Valley, the mound was 60 foot in diameter and about 18 feet high. Near the center were found the bones of about a dozen men and women, mixed with the bones of various animals. The skull in question was the only perfect one, and near it were found some abnormally large body bones. So there you go, that was New York Times, 1882. More giant bones found in mounds, and they're always found in, well, not always, but they're so often found in mounds in the Americas. And Graham Hancock's last book is actually on all the mounds all throughout the Americas, and how a lot of them, well, he goes into how a lot of them have been destroyed. And like Walmart, yeah, right, Walmart is actually, I can't remember the number, but it's literally built, I think it's built 3 Walmart literally on top of these ancient mounds. And this is how they get rid of them, right? They just try and overlay their cube society on top of the old society. Giant skeletons unearthed at Athens, thought to have been Indians of gigantic proportions. Athens, December 6th, the skeletons of 2 Indians have been unearthed along the banks of the Hocking River at Roach's Mill, 1/2 mile east of Athens. Why do they think that they are Indians, I wonder? The excavation was made under a large building a short distance from the bank of the river. Unearthed a few feet from the skeletons were many arrowheads which no doubt were buried with the redskins when they were sent either by accident or natural death to the happy hunting grounds. The skeletons were evidently those of gigantic men. Judging by the bones, they could not have measured less than 7 feet in stature. The bones were in an excellent state of preservation, the teeth being still firmly embedded in the maxillary bones. So is there an Athens in the US? Anyone? Bueller? Because that would make sense, otherwise it makes no sense at all. They're obviously talking about Native Americans, or American Indians, however we're supposed to address them these days, because they call them redskins down here. Which is probably not a woke comment, but I am just reading an article, Facebook fact checkers. This one again, why can't I make it bigger? Hang on, I will do my shift key, I'll do the old trick and see if it works. No, it doesn't want to work, okay. Giant bones in a mound. Scientists unearthed relics of Indians who lived 700 years ago. Binghamton, July 18, Professor A. B. Skinner of the American Indian Museum, blah 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 blah, Pennsylvania state historians who have been conducting research along the valley of the Susquehanna have uncovered the Indian mounds at Tioga Point on the upper portions of the Queen's Father's Flats, on what is known as the Murray Farm. Okay, blah blah blah. In the mound uncovered were found the bones of 68 men, which are believed to have been buried 700 years ago. The average height of those men was 7 feet. While many were much taller, further evidence of their gigantic size was found in large collar or axes hewn from the stone. That's what that means. But there you go. 68 uncovered from a mound, 7 foot tall. USA. Beach giants unearthed by WPA workers near Victoria. The San Antonio Express. So I'm guessing this isn't Victoria, Australia. Believed to be the largest ever found in the world. Normal head also found. So there you go. Giant skulls believed to be possibly the largest found in the world. The human skull shown on the right was recently unearthed in Victoria County by Texas University anthropologists. The other two are normal sized. Okay, so this is the giant skull, and these two are normal sized human skulls. I mean, they could have taken the photo so we didn't have like the big one in the front, like for perspective, right? They should have taken it front on. But anyway, it was the 1800s. Some more amazing, architecture and giant doors. So there you go. I mean, look at this stuff. And, I mean, what's it made from? I wonder. Do you reckon this is... what is it? Cement? Is it the ancient cement? Is it poured? Is it... I mean, I don't think we could reasonably say that that was carved. I mean, there's no way you could carve that. And look what happens at the top here. This bit disappears beneath... So I haven't got the whole picture, but it disappears beneath all this stuff. And this one goes over the top. How bizarre. Yeah, so what's this for, you reckon? Giant technology. What were they thinking with those big heads? This is just to show some artwork. And, you know, this has been pointed out before. But look at the size of, you know, these paintings. This is, you know, these are people. Even this one here. You know, there's a person in front. So that painting is basically as tall as that person. So that's a big painting. And so there's a couple there. But then look at these. These are just, you know, they're really giant size. And, you know, we're sort of told that, you know, people used to paint giant size, but don't see it that much anymore. You know, maybe if they're entering, you know, a competition, a portrait competition, they might do a big painting, or they might do a couple, but they don't. You know, most of the paintings aren't this big. It's just not practical. This is the Vatican, and this is one of the giant buildings that obviously remains. These are people. This is a nun. And, I mean, you know, what can you say? You know, if people believe that we, the humans of this size, built this, then I think they're a bit, you know, cuckoo, because, I mean, just so many questions, right? Why? How? Where did they get the materials? Where did they get the knowledge? You know, who designed them? Where was all the tech, all the you know, the tech that they would have needed to construct them? It's all left out of the story, right? No, it just took 100 years for the glory of God. You know, they just did it for the glory of God. Yeah. And this thing, now there's a couple of these still left, so this you can't see, but this is the edge of a dome up here. So this is directly underneath the dome, and of course on the floor as well you can kind of see the edge of the circle here. You know, under the domes they've always got you know, the geometry basically, which looks very circuit board like. Now this, I saw a video and they were talking about that on the top of these, you know, as like the, you know, strung inside like the ceiling, it's all made of silk. And they were talking about how it could be used as a diaphragm. I can't remember everything, but yeah, I mean, this could be part of the tech. Couldn't it? And then, you know, this is wood. This is carved wood. I mean, they would have needed some fairly large-sized trees to make this. I mean, and how? You know, if that's wood, how did they carve that? But that aside, you know, Wise Up and other channels talk about, you know, things being petrified. And I've done a couple of videos myself. There's a cave in the UK, and it's just, it drips, and the water's very high in minerals, and people literally go and hang things there, and they turn to stone. It started off, the little girl who lived nearby left a teddy bear there, and when they came back like a few weeks later, it was stone. A few weeks later, and so now people go and hang things there, and lots of teddy bears and things, and they turn to stone. So, you know, how long does it take? You know, this whole, and we do hear about petrified wood, you know, we know that it turns to stone. We're just told that it takes millions of years, but of course, you know, we know how they love to play with time, right? So, yeah, you know, something like this, if this was outside and it got flooded and turned to stone, you know, it looks pretty similar to a lot of things that we see, you know, outside in the landscape, doesn't it? Pillars and things, you know, the statues. So who knows? More giant pictures. See, little people, big pictures. And of course, how tall is this roof? I mean, that's a person, right? What are we talking? 1, 2, 3, 4... 5 to there, and then there's probably another 2. So if she's 5 foot, that's another 25 feet. That's a 30-foot ceiling. You know, why? Why make everything so big and grand when you don't have to? And again, you know, it's small populations, right? And we're told, you know, there was no tech. Now this is New York Station. And again, this is a giant building. Look at this thing. I mean, these people, literally, they look like, maybe not ants, but they look like bugs, don't they? I mean, look at the size of these windows. This is a person. It's just ridiculous. So, you know, who was building, you know, the buildings this size? Because look at this guy, right? I mean, this doorway here that, you know, they've probably closed in. Or maybe it's, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's massive. Just this bit. You know, just this bit, just this doorway is huge. You know, that's like 2.5, 3 times as tall as he is. But then look what's behind it. Look at these. I mean, they're you know, 5 times as big as this. You know, so why? Why all this space? Of course, always, you know, curved arched roofs, always based on acoustics and things like this. But, you know, how big were the people that built this? You know, because this bit here, this platform, this could be a retrofit, this whole platform. Because, see, it's literally just a platform, so you can get through this door. So I'm guessing that down here is underground level. And this is ground level. So these look, I would say these are mud-flooded windows. And they've built this so that you can come through and get down to the lower floor. Because seriously, what other purpose does it serve apart from the fact that they've put a couple of cafes there? So yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon? I mean, it is around here as well, but it's not actually. If you look at it, it's not at the same height. So they may have done this like, oh, we'll just pretend it was part of this, but they didn't even get the height right. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be good to see what's underneath these. But I suppose, I don't know, it looks like they've extended it and there's something going out under the ground, or maybe it went out, who knows, but whatever, that is a giant building. And again, you know, how big were the people who built that, who could have built that, who would have built that? You know, were they this big or were they bigger? And this guy's quite, you know, famous. He's in quite a few pictures. I believe he was the last of his, you know, race, kind, whatever. He was like a gentle giant dude. I've forgotten his name. Obviously, Asian. And that's the other thing, you know, we do get giants of all different, you know, I don't want to say races because they don't really exist. But, you know, all different types of beings, you know. We get them black, white, yellow, brown, can I say that? All colours of the rainbow. This is Armond Bronner, the giant of France. See, this dude's a pretty big dude. And these are different as well. You know, this is different to, like, you know, Robert Waldo, that guy who was, you know, apparently the tallest person in the world, you know, ever, right? And he was only, you know, he might have been as tall as this guy. I'm not sure how tall he was. Pretty tall, like 8 foot. But he was really, really skinny, and he died young. By the time he was 20, he could hardly walk. He needed leg braces and canes, so he had a thyroid problem. Now, he wasn't supposed to grow that big. It wasn't natural. But this dude, look at that. This is a big, strong dude. You wouldn't want to get in a fight with him. And again, look at this dude. And this guy does look like he's a short guy. But if he was a tall guy, he would only be up here. So, big dude. Looks, you know, could be Tartarian, that one. There you go. All colours of the rainbow. Whoops. So I don't know when this was. Back in the 30s, maybe. That chick's pretty tall. Has she got leg braces? I don't know. Her feet look a bit funny, but just the way she's standing. But I mean, she doesn't really look like a tall, skinny, you know, thyroid person. So giants everywhere. Of course, you know, stories of them all through the past. More giant doors. This one has an arrow saying, unless you're this tall, you can't come in. This is great because you can see the door, and this is human size that they've had to cut into the doors. It's just crazy. More giant doors. Yeah, look at the size of the handle. Which begs the question, when was that handle put on? You know, are we talking, you know, because how we've seen photos, you know, how you know, how many giants were there around? How normal was it to see a giant back in 1900? You know, because this looks like it could have been put on around that time. It doesn't look, you know, it's still a functioning door handle on the outside. And again, you know, the wood and stuff in these doors, they would have needed some big trees. This guy's knocking. Let me in. See? Let me in. Of course, a bit of gas lighting next to him. On each side, of course. So, you know, a couple of jobs acting as twin poles. But look at the size of this door. That's, I mean, that's just... why? That's just completely impractical. Why would you spend the time and effort in having to open and shut something that big? Even if there was some reason they built the buildings this big, no need ever to build the doors that big. Just no. Again, you know, they cut their little doors into the big doors, and he's standing lower down here. So this is probably a mud floodder. Something I've mentioned a lot in my videos is symmetry. And look at that. And that's not easy to do. That's not easy to design. It's not easy to build. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, that's perfect. You could get a ruler on that and the lines would just be perfect. You know, down to like this bit down the center. And what do we have at the end here? Not quite the fern frond, but you know, pretty close. And of course they love to cover up the past. Here this guy's found some, well, I mean, this guy looks like he's sort of stealing the past and selling it. Not very good, but yeah, look at the head on this guy. So clearly this would be South America. That looks a bit Egyptian, doesn't it? But this looks very, you know, Mesoamerican, as they like to say. But yeah, these are all cone heads. So there you go. They knew about them, you know, way back. But of course, we're not supposed to know that, are we? This is Chinese Tartary, the supreme monarch. And look what's on his clothes. He's just got these same kind of curly bits everywhere. And I don't know why he's in my Giants file. Maybe because the dog's small. Oh, look at that. Alien predator. That's real, by the way. That's on a building. I think it's in Scotland, actually. Don't take my word for it. How's that? And this bit actually looks like it's a bit of a plant or something, you know, twisting around, not actually an eye, but I mean, look how tech that looks. It just looks like an alien. And this is, you know, what's the deal with all these ghouly faces everywhere? And you'll notice with, you know, all these gargoyles and ghouls, most of them are our size. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This is someone to wish you sweet dreams at night. And of course we've got the double merman feet. Just like that shop that I can't remember the name of. Is it Starbucks? Of course they changed their symbol, I think, didn't they? Here we go. This guy, see how he looks pretty skinny for his size. He's tall, but I would say he's that big because of a thyroid problem. You know, you can see he's got very skinny arms, no shoulders. He kind of goes in here. Get that, they sort of get that funny look like Akhenaten had. Maybe that was what was going on. This guy was French, I believe, and as you can see, pretty big. There you go. Now this is, obviously a shot. At the time, this was supposed to be the tallest man in the world and the shortest man in the world. And this is the same guy just sitting next to a normal sized guy. So you can see, and again, this guy is a real giant. He's not, you can see he's completely different sort of stature to that guy. See how he's all skinny, he doesn't look right. This guy does. He looks normal, and this guy is definitely, he's a big dude. Jeez. And I wonder how old these people live to. You just don't hear anything of them. I wonder why that is. This guy looks similar, but I don't think it's the same guy. But this is a shot from, I think it's from World War II, World War I maybe, hat shop. And as you can see, these guys are all the same height. So, they must be, the average height. Which, I don't know, 5'8", 5'10", is it? And this guy's pretty much almost twice their height. Obviously, he just got himself a nice hat. Now these were found. These were dug out. Out of a mound. I believe they were, buried in a cave or something. I can't remember the full story. But there were more than these. There was like 60 of them made. And sorry if you can hear the dog next door. He's barking at something. Yeah, and these obviously massive, right? Who were they made for? Big battle axes, or I don't know, tree axes or something. Maybe that guy. What was his name? In the US. Oh, this is Father Crespi. That's his name, Father Crespi. And basically, he was a priest in South America, and he, was very kind to all the natives and got on really well with them. And they started to tell him stories about that there used to be an ancient civilization of giants, and that they knew where all this treasure was. And they actually started bringing these bits to him, and he ended up with a big collection of all these giant, things like this, crowns and things. And I believe when he died, it all mysteriously disappeared, which never heard that one before. Again, let me in. What's the point? I mean, are these what? Are these all supposed to have been put on by hand? Tiles? I mean, and who's cutting them? It's just madness. Again, and the doors, what a giveaway, right? And this is the thing, what's on that door? It'd be interesting to get a better look at that. It's not the best contrast. Because I wonder if that's a facade, something that's been added later on the outside of the door, or if it's a story that existed that's been changed. Because clearly it looks like it's got something to do with the Christian story. Just looking at it, this looks like Jesus maybe being resurrected. I don't know. It's just got that look. But then, you come out to here, and what do we get? It's just all grapes and fruit and flowers and vines. And some lines at the top, which, do they have something to do with Christianity? Because they don't seem to. I don't know. Yep, another big one, Joseph Dusork from Berlin, German. And that's quite a beef eater he's got on his head there. I wonder if that's hiding something bigger, but I mean, this guy might not be big, but this dude's huge. And again, he's a real giant. Guns. I saw this in, maybe it was Martin's show, someone's video, not long ago. But there's a lot of these too. They've actually given them a name, and now people actually try and make them. And yeah, these are called punt guns. Probably because when you pull the trigger, it backfires and kicks you for a punt. A punt is a type of kick in Aussie rules, if you don't know what that is. And of course, look at the size of this column. And do we have a mud flutter here? Nice half-size door. More big women. And all these giants, they seem to be able to hold their arms out straight. So that's pretty impressive. More from the past. Giants here. Beating the crap out of people. That's not very nice. Walking over them, and well, I mean, who knows what this is, right? Look at this. We've got the horn symbolism here. We've got things, I don't know, are these representative of, look at the end of that. Is this representative of plasma and causing catastrophe, maybe? Of course, the bull horns seem to be a symbol that was in the sky in the last age. And samurai swords. I mean, what's the use? Why would you build that? You couldn't even use it. Ridiculous. Unless you're a giant. More giants. So, do we say Arabian? I mean, back in the time, I don't know if that's what they were called. Probably, very close to Tartarian. Not sure what's on his chin there. Very well, and very, look at the dress and what he's wearing. These guys were always well dressed, the finest of everything. This guy's like, get your hand from over my head. I even put my top hat on. Come on, don't be a smart ass. And he's like, yeah, we giants, we can all hold our hands out. You've seen it before. You'll see it again. Okay, this is called Personal Space Invaded. Space Invaded. Yeah, a couple of showgirls by the looks of it. Some rather large showgirls. Feathers in their hair. This is that Asian guy again. And, like I said, he was quite famous. I think he ended up in Europe and they paraded him around a bit. And, he was kind of, it must have been a bit hard, to be the last of your kind. Knowing everyone's just sort of using you and you just, I don't know. That must be a strange feeling. That one again. There we go, that's a different shot, but yeah, same thing. Central Station. Here we go. So this guy here looks like the giant we just saw. And it looks like we've got giant Viking here and giant tin soldier from the UK maybe. And of course, much larger. And this guy's even pointing it out. Look how tall he is. I have to put my hand up to scratch his head. The giants. And I mean, this is the thing. I put this in because with the Googles and with, the Disneys and with, the projects and the Mockingbirds, what they tend to do is this. They, for giants, if you put a search in for giants, this is what you get. You've got to then change, your search to, actual people that are tall, And they do this with so many subjects that we look into. And they do it with movies like El Dorado. You do a search for El Dorado and go to pictures, and you'll just get the Disney movie. But of course, El Dorado, is the fabled city of gold. And they do it with so many different topics. So, yes, that's why that's in there. And this guy is 25 and cool. And sword is a funny word, isn't it? The sword. The S word. Some Arabians, pretty big. Nice turbans, of course, hiding their gigantic heads maybe. This guy's got a big hat. And of course, you know, all these photos, these guys look pretty nice. You know, they don't look like the aggressive giants that we're told about. Again, now you may have seen this one. This was a mummy that was excavated, found. These guys apparently bought it and, you know, paraded it around in the sideshows for a couple of years. Then I believe it got put in formaldehyde or something in a tank, and it may even still be around in some small museum, that one. But I mean, look at the size of it. You know, and so this, you know, and of course, you know, with this, everyone tries to say it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. How do you know it's fake? There's more chance that it's not fake, because who would, I mean, sure, they had money to make, but, you know, it's hard to make something that looks real and that looks real for years. Oh, that's the people who are trying to get us to move over to their way of thinking at the moment. But also, the Trident, right? This is a sign associated with Mr. Red, and also with, you know, Zeus and other gods. And of course, it's also the shape that is created by a plasma, when it's gaining charge and building charge. And so, I don't know, does the devil wreak havoc and explode with fire? What do you think? I mean, come on, this is the World's Fair, obviously. This is, you know, again, these are the types of building that are just ridiculously oversized, and most of these got knocked over. You know, they rebranded them for a bit, did their World's Fairs, look how cool we are, look how awesome we are, and then they smashed them all. And some of these buildings, they had a lot of trouble demolishing them. But, I mean, why would you? I mean, look at this. But again, you know, who would build this? How big were the people that built that? Okay, this is that picture. I've showed this before. This is Orange Man, and there was this guy, yeah, that was walking behind him, and someone's sort of done the heights and the perspectives and things, and he does seem to look a bit tall. You can't really see there. You can see how they've done their perspective lines, so that's kind of this guy's height and this guy's height, and they're showing this guy's height, so from there to here it hasn't, you know, got that much bigger. So from this guy to this guy, if there was any rise, it would not be that much. So he looks rather large. Giant Hugo, this is the guy we saw the photo of before, and of course a lot of these people were sort of, in the end, they were kind of relegated to freak shows and things to make their living. This just, yeah, this is South America. Of course, we have the Patagonian Giants down there. Have the Spanish, and they look decidedly smaller than all these women. And here are the men. Oi, what are you doing checking out our chicks? So giants, lots of, you know, this is the thing. And we have things like Homo capensis, the giant architecture, you know, giant trees, of course. I don't have many pictures there, but you know, things like this. These are just the redwoods, but you know, these are what were being cut down all over America as soon as they got there, right? As soon as they got there, they started to destroy it all. There you go. Someone's living in a tree. Again, you know, so tons of photos, guys. Tons of photos. Look at this one. Men and women, all different, you know, colours, you know, from all different places. So they seem to be widespread. So I've been going a while, so I was going to show a bit more, but I might do a part 2. So yeah, that was just basically a look through my Giants folder. Well, not even through it. There's quite a bit that we didn't see, but you'll see I've actually these are from videos I've made. So there was part 2 was Albion, part 3 Egypt, part 4 Homo capensis. So they're all in Autodidactic 1. back about a year ago if you want to check them out. So hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Thanks for spending some time with me. Have a spectacular day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.